All right, President Trump claiming America first does not mean America alone as he prepares to address the World Economic Forum here in just a few hours. So what can we expect from that big speech, and how will other world leaders react to it? That's the question. Here now to weigh in on that is Republican strategist Jen Kerns. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. He's got an uphill battle here to go with a lot of these world leaders who are a little bit wary of this president and how this country has changed so dramatically from the last president to this president.
Very much so, Rob. You know, it's interesting. President Trump's kind of like the skunk at the garden party there among the global elites. But right. He's off to a pretty good start. We saw yesterday he was already meeting with world leaders as well as international
Netanyahu
CEOs.
Yesterday,
And I think he surprises a lot of people. I think he was very smart to have that open press meeting yesterday with the international CEOs. He has learned here domestically that sometimes it's best just to go straight to the American people, bypass the press, make sure that that meeting with those international leaders was reported fairly and accurately. And I think we got to see a little bit more of President Trump's global leadership.
Right. And he is jarringly different in his style and in everything from Barack Obama. So it's going to take some getting used to. He's going to push this whole America first doesn't mean America alone idea. And he's also going to push this idea that our economy, the strength of our economy, means a stronger world. And that certainly is true. I mean, most of the big runs that you have in world economies, it kind of start with the U.S. because we are kind of the leader in that. And our markets are up something like 40% in the past year. Right. The world is a lot wealthier right now than it was because of his policies, some would say.
Yeah, and I think President Trump subscribes to that view that a strong America means a strong world. Right. When the world grows, when America grows, the rest of the world grows. And I think what he's there to deliver today in terms of his speech is that America is open for business, that America is open for international investment once again. Right. And I think he's delivering that message quite nicely.
And he's this weird hybrid, though, of a politician, because he's this, he's anti-regulation, so anti-regulation. But in a way, he kind of has this protectionist idea in his head. And that in itself is a regulation that can inhibit economic growth. And he's trying to balance these things because at the end of the day, when you have countries like China and India that'll produce things and do manufacturing for a fraction of the cost of the United States, if you're not protectionist, you get taken advantage of in that way, but that also will inhibit the world economy from growing. So he's trying to play this balancing game, and he's still trying to figure out, I think, who he is in some ways on a world scale. He's never had to deal with business like this, right?
Right. And what I'm told by the White House is that his speech today in Davos will cover some of that. Yeah. He'll talk about trade. He'll talk about how you can't really have free international trade unless it's fair. So he's going to talk about that. Some people in the room will be very uncomfortable with that. Some folks already planning on walking out, not necessarily over that. But I think what you see also is President Trump there on behalf of the American worker. And I think when you take the binds off the American worker, you unleash a workforce that is like no other in the world. And I think when he presents that to the rest of the world, they will want to come and invest in America. And I think that's how he gets past that protectionism label.
Yeah, and I think that's something for everybody at home to keep an eye on, how he deals with that idea of protecting the American worker from the influence of foreign workers and the cheap labor of the rest of the world, because that really is going to be impactful on everything in this economy. Yep. Let's go to the first State of the Union. The president has done this type of speech before, right after he was elected, but this is his first State of the Union. He's got some bragging points, but he also won't have a lot of fans in the room, especially on the left side.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I've seen a couple of excerpts of the speech in advance of Tuesday night. It's quite interesting. I think what you'll see is a President Trump that's a little softer. I think you'll see a softer side of President Trump. Okay. The senior officials in the West Wing tell me they really enjoyed, and he really enjoyed, sharing that story of his brother Fred a couple weeks ago at that opioid press conference, where he shared from the heart that his brother Fred had an addiction problem. We'll see a little more of that personal side of Donald Trump. What he intends to talk about is bringing dignity back to America, where every American can get dignity from a hard day's work. This goes back to the campaign when we saw him fighting for the workers in the Rust Belt and those hard scrabble areas. So you're going to see, I think, Donald Trump talking a lot about his own family, perhaps his own upbringing, how he decided to get into business himself. It'll be very interesting.
Would love to see some vulnerability from the president. I think everybody would love to see that. It would make him a lot more popular to a lot of people. Jen, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate your time.